If I were going to cast somebody as King Ghidorah, it would have been Jeremy Irons, because the moment he picks up Godzilla and drops him from space, the only thing I could think of was "Long live the king." And just drop. There's going to be two kinds of, audience members that go to see this movie. There's going to be audience members who just want to see the big monster fights and the kaiju fest and everything like that. You will get that. Don't even worry about that. You will get that. And if that's what you want out of this film, it delivers. I would say probably it doesn't deliver it enough, but it still delivers. It gives you some good monster fights and everything. If you're going to go see a movie, however, that's an entirely different story. That is obviously the visual effects are decent. I can't say that they're perfect, but they're pretty decent. When you get to see some of the monsters on screen, they looked pretty good. The only thing that I wish you could see them a little bit clearer. Now, the reason I understand why it's not as clear is because they probably they weren't fully rendered to perfection or whatever. It probably would have cost a whole bunch more money to do these things. But a lot of the battles and stuff, it's kind of shrouded in darkness. Not that you can't see it fully. It's just that it's dark in a lot of places, and there's a lot of shadows, and you can't see the monsters in their full glory. Not like you could in, I would say, Godzilla. The first Godzilla movie, where at the end it's like, yes, it was taking place at night, but you could still see the definitions of Godzilla, and you get some of that in this movie, but just not as much as you do it in the first one, because like I said, there's a lot of battles and stuff that goes on with King Ghidorah, Rodan, and stuff, and like it's you can see it. You can know who's throwing punches, and he's like about to slap the heck out of him right now. You know who's throwing punches, but you don't 100% see, you don't see the definition in them, and that was a little bit disappointing. There are some issues with the visuals sometimes. Sometimes it gets a little wonky with King Ghidorah, like his head size changes and stuff like that. But I would say the monster fights are fun. The monster fights are a lot of fun. It's kind of hard not to have fun when you have giant monsters fighting in a city and destroying stuff. Especially if that's what you're coming there for and everything. And you will get that. As far as everything else, the plot is near non-existent. And it was so funny because there was this couple that was sitting in the theater, and they were kind of behind us, but also to the left. And they were kind of like a little peanut gallery type thing. The one guy didn't really know how to whisper. It was like the girl, the lady was trying to hey, they talk about this and this, that, and the other. She was whispering, but whispering loudly. But the other guy was just like, yeah, man, this movie ain't got no dang plot. And it was actually really funny to kind of hear their comments or whatever, because it was funny. The girl was trying so hard to defend this movie. She's like, it's only the first act. It's okay. They have two more acts, and the first act goes by, and the second act goes by. It's only the second act. It's gonna get better, whatever. But the guy was completely aware, and just this movie has no plot. It is extremely exposition heavy. The characters are really just kind of there to explain to you what's going on in the movie, and how what's going to happen, how it's happening, and that's pretty much it. I mean, you spend most of the time with the military and this little faction. They go back to the 2014 Godzilla movie. This character loses his son. in the rubble in the fight that Godzilla has with the Muto characters. So he already has like kind of has this adversity against, you know, the monsters and everything like that. He's like, no, we need to just go ahead and kill him, get him off the, you know, get him before they, you know, kill anyone else. You know, it's like we need to get rid of them. And he was, I would say, married to Vera Farmiga and Millie Bobby Brown's character. Do not ask me to remember their names because I do not, and I probably will not remember their names in the movie. That's how much development they really have. That's how much really impact they really have because I blanking 100% on their names, but like that. He was married to Vera Farmiga, and they have a daughter, Millie Bobby Brown, but you know, the son died in the 2014 accident. And for whatever reason, whereas he is saying like, hey, we need to get rid of these monsters, we need to kill them, and they don't need to be on this planet because they're just going to cause more destruction. She goes the complete opposite. And it's a weird reveal because she goes to the point where it's just like, oh, well, they need to be released so they can, promote balance back to the earth or whatever and stuff. And I'm just like, how did you get there? It's like your son died. She's like, I'm doing this for my son. His death must not be in vain. And I'm like, he was killed by the monsters. I'm like, how did you arrive at that point? And she winds up working with the villain of the film because, you know, this movie needs a human villain for whatever reason. And this is your typical... I hate because I like this guy as an actor, but I hate that he's kind of relegated to the activist. He's the guy, he's the extremist. He's like, you know, people are bad. People are polluting the earth and everything. And we need to release these monsters so they can get rid of us. We're the problem with this planet or whatever. And I'm fine with that if the movie decided to do something with it on like on an ethical level. But it doesn't. It's just kind of like all people are bad. All people need to die and everything. But except them. They get to stay in a safe bunker, you know, while everything else is going on. To be perfectly honest, you could take him out. You could take out the human villain because I'm like, why do you need a human villain when you have monster villains? Like, you legitimately have monster villains. King Ghidorah is the monster villain in this movie. And he's the one that releases the other monsters to do his bidding. So I'm like, why do you need him? You know, I'm just like, what purpose does he serve? He's not really here for anything other than to be a foil to the military. But I'm like, you have giant monsters that, you know, the likes of with none of them have ever dealt with before. So you already have your antagonist. You already have your obstacle that you have to overcome and everything. And it's like, it's really like you have to help Godzilla beat King Ghidorah. That's it. Leave it at that, you know? It's like, okay, King Ghidorah just wakes up. Fine. I mean, and you know, Godzilla woke up, so and the Mutos woke up, so I'm like, oh, King Ghidorah wakes up. All right, well, now he's woken up he awakens the other monsters and everything, and now there's this big battle and everything that has to go on. So I don't understand the need for having a human villain. There's a lot of what a lot of critics call science babble or techno babble or whatever. It's just like, oh, we got to do the thing with the thing and the thing and the thing and the thing. And just like, sure. It's like Star Trek when they start explaining like all this stuff or whatever, like that doesn't exist in real life. But it's just like,
they may say one word that's, you know, actually legit, but then everything else is,
everything else is like sure, go do that. Fine. They have the technology to be able to get to analyze what the monster is and recreate the call of its alpha. so the monster won't attack them, essentially. And I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. And they do go into kind of like some detail in how as to how it works. And I'm just like, whatever. You know, it's like this is stuff I probably didn't need to know. I probably just could have been like, okay, yeah, they use this technology to create, you know, the sound that the alpha would make for that particular thing. What I did like, what I thought was a very good thing, is that, you know, they created these alpha calls, and well, that species of monster and everything below it will be like, oh, okay, my bad. Hey, look, we cool and everything. But the ones that are aggressive to that alpha and everything, they attack. And I'm like, right. That's good, because that's how, you know, a lot of animals actually, you know, work. It's like, yeah, you might scare off, you know, the little monsters or whatever, but you attract a really big one. So I was like,
who's that up in my house?
Exactly. I hate to use the term like actors are kind of phoning it in, but to be perfectly honest, none of these guys really care that they're there. They're just, I mean, don't get me wrong. Charles Dance, he looks like he's enjoying himself a little bit, but not so much. You know, I think like this is I think he's from Game of Thrones, isn't he? Like he's
I wouldn't know.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry, you don't watch Game of Thrones either, but yeah, I think he's actually from if I remember correctly, he's from Game of Thrones. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments below, but I've seen him back. I've seen scenes with him in it, and I'm just like, okay, yeah, he's, I mean, good actor and everything. It's just here, he didn't have a lot to do. And I think that's the case with a lot of the characters in this movie, is that they just don't have a lot to do. There's not a lot of real, true, raw emotion that comes from them. It's just like, well, we got to get from point A to point B, and the monsters have to attack. You know, this is why, like I said, this is a lot of why people are here. I will say that it's interesting in terms of how they've backpedaled from the characters, because from the 2014 movie, everyone was really like, I wanted more Godzilla, but if you're going to make us follow this one character, make him interesting, that's why a lot of people were upset when they killed off, Walter White in the movie. I was just like, when they killed him off, I was like, oh, come on, man. Like, we need more. Now we have to follow this guy around who's like, his only objective is to get from point A to point B. And that's it. That's all he really had going for him. Whereas, the other character, his father, was more like, oh, there was a mystery behind that. He was trying to solve stuff, trying to uncover things. You were interested in what he was doing and what was going on with him because he had a serious emotional attachment. And yes, like the son was trying to get to his girlfriend and his daughter, or his daughter or son. I think it was son, actually, right?
Daughter.
His daughter?
Yeah, daughter.
Okay, yeah. So, like, he was trying to get to them and save them and everything. So I'm like, yeah, but his only goal was to get from point A to point B. It's like riding that. It was the equivalent of riding next to somebody on a subway, and they were just kind of like, you just have like small talk with them, and it's just like, it's a nice day, isn't it? So what do you think about those monster attacks, huh? Just like you're having small talk with them. It's like there was nothing really going on there. And that was one of the big criticisms that a lot of people had, other than the fact that they kept teasing Godzilla and not showing us the action a lot. A lot of the big criticisms that people had was like, man, we could have just, if you're going to make us follow somebody, have us follow somebody that's interesting or whatever. So we get Kong Skull Island, and they do the exact opposite. They give them like no character. It's just like, oh, they're just people. It's like, oh, there's the villain. There's the two pretty people. They'll be around at the end of the movie. Don't worry about them. They're not going to die. You got the guy that's out here for money. You got the guy that's like 3 days away from retirement. And I was just like that, but that's it. That's all they had going for them. There was nothing there. It was like blank slate. And you kind of got the same here. Yeah, you really do. You have the same here. They don't have a lot to do. The characters don't have a lot to do, and that's disappointing because Vera Farmiga is a great actress. You know, Millie Bobby Brown from Stranger Things. Like, we know that she's good, and she may be the best person in the movie, to be honest. Like, she may be, because like she, she's a kid. She's got some attitude to her and everything, but she feels like a real teenager. She feels like a real teenage girl, and maybe that's just her bringing out her natural, talent and everything, and just like, or just she is a actual teenage girl, so it's just like, let's be myself, So I'm just like, oh, okay, so she may be the best. She may be the best actress in the movie, to be perfect. She may be the best actor in the movie. And this is something I kind of skipped over. I will say, they get started fighting right away. They do not waste time. It's not like, I said, it's not like King Kong. It's not like Godzilla from 2014 where you have to wait, and get the climactic battle. It's like, no, we're going to give you what you want right away. Very much like Kong Skull Island. Kong shows up within like the first 15 minutes, and he's like, or first 5 minutes or whatever, and he's already there. It's just, they immediately have that action and everything. As far as like, there's a lot of problems narratively, but I don't know. This is one of those movies where it's like, man, I almost wish you were stupider. Just like, if you're gonna be dumb, you're gonna have these dumb moments in the movie, whatever. There's moments. There's a moment where King Kong. Why do I keep calling him that? But there's a moment where Godzilla is literally standing on water. And then, like, he's just standing there. I'm like, well, it's like, dude, what you standing on? And then he dives underneath the water. I'm like, but what did you dive from? Like, the submarine literally came up in the same spot. And it's like, what did you dive from? There's a moment where God, Jesus, man. I keep calling him King Kong. He's going to come through the window and beat my ass. Right? Just go see his big hand just come out of there and grab. It's like, look, God dang it. But there's a point where, like, King Ghidorah grabs Godzilla, pulls him up to basically out of orbit, and drops him. So, like, you think somebody as big as Godzilla, this is like an extinction level event if he hits the Earth, right?
It's like from Ultron.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like, if he hits the Earth, everybody's dead, and there is no coming back from that or whatever. It's like, nah, a little dust cloud kicks up or whatever.
And I can't imagine him not being, as massive as that the town from what you call it,
Sokovia. Yeah. I mean, he's huge. Like, his foot is like the size of a building, So I'm like, this thing hits the ground. We're all dead. At the very least, everyone within like a 500-mile radius should be just wiped out, obliterated. But nah, a little dust cloud kicks up. Everything's fine. People are like at least like literally like 100 feet away. There's like, shoot, they just like cover. There's like, that was rough.
Did he get dropped in water or like
on ground, solid ground? Like, I think he got dropped in a baseball stadium or something like that. Like, he dropped, like he was burning up on re-entry coming down. Wow. Yeah.
I don't know what kind of earth they're on.
I mean, like, according to this particular world, there's tunnels under the earth or whatever. There's pockets under the earth where people can survive or whatever, but it's where Godzilla hangs out or whatever. And then they detonate this nuclear blast because Godzilla goes up against King Ghidorah, and he loses the first fight pretty bad. But he goes up against him, he loses, so he goes down into his little trench or whatever, and he's trying to recover. He's absorbing the juices, the radioactivity, right, and all the stuff from everything. And he's like, okay. I was like, well, if we help him out, we can help him. Let's detonate this nuclear bomb down there, and now that'll recharge his battery a lot quicker, because this could take years. And with King Ghidorah controlling all these monsters, he's going to wipe out everything on this planet, life, as we know it. Not just human life, but everything. So So they detonate this nuke, and I'm just like, well, I hope that doesn't have any effect on the core of the Earth that you just detonated a nuclear bomb down there. But also, I'm just like, so where's he gonna go now? Like you literally just destroyed his home. So like there, that whole point where he's standing on the water and he's actually looking a little bit pissed at them or whatever, and I'm just kind of like, I mean, yeah, I'd be mad too. And I'm just like, you just destroyed my. Do you know how long it took me to decorate that? And I didn't understand like how they could be so scientific and fail on science so much. And I'm just like, I didn't get it. I didn't get like when people would when Godzilla first showed up in first Godzilla, he created a suit like a tidal wave, huge ass tidal wave, right?
Yeah, just by the.
Coming out of the water. Nah, not this time. Nah, every time he comes out of the water, it's just fine. Whatever, nothing happens. Like he stomps around and people don't hear him or feel him. None of that. There's none of that. He's still able to like sneak up on people. I don't know how he sneaks up on things or whatever, but it's just like Ghidorah's about to, chomp down on somebody or whatever. Next thing you know, it's just like, and I'm like, the frick did you come from?
Your wings slapping, glass breaking.
Yes. But like this dude should be creating shockwaves with every freaking. He should be creating earthquakes with every step, and we've seen that. We've seen him like come out of the water, cause this huge tidal wave or whatever. He steps and he causes these big, tremors and earth. It does cause like in the immediate vicinity and everything, but nothing here. Now he just comes up and he's just like, shh. I was like, I don't know what you're doing. I don't like it's stuff like that, but it's so funny when I think about it because I'm like, man, I almost wish this was dumber. Because, you got your dumb movies like Jurassic World 2 and Fallen Kingdom. And it's just like, where it's just like, okay, this is just batshit insane. You got Rampage. I almost kind of wish it was a little bit more like Rampage because Rampage was like, was idiocy, but it was completely 100% aware. It was just like, yeah, we know this is dumb, but screw it. We're having fun, you got Negan in there leaning over and everything like that. He's just, fully aware that he's doing his Walking Dead thing or whatever. And it's like, you got The Rock being The Rock and everything. And I'm just like, yeah, they're just, everybody was a caricature. And that's kind of the same for this movie where everyone's kind of like a caricature of a real person. They're not real people. I would probably say, I'd give a little bit of exception for Millie Bobby Brown, his character or whatever. Still don't remember her name. But I would give kind of an exception for her because she felt like a real teenage girl or whatever. But no one else really felt like a real person. And I would probably give the same comparison that I would give to the Punisher movies. The one from 1989. And I think that's right. Is it 1989 or 1990? One of them. So you had that. And then you had the one from 2004. Whereas like both of them, look, they were caricatures. Both movies. But it seemed like, the one with Dolph Lundgren and... the one with Dolph Lundgren and Lou Gossett Jr., like that one, they knew 100%. They were just like, man, we don't care. We just, you just want to look. You came here to see the Punisher punish and shoot things and stuff. So I'm like, we got the Punisher, we got the mob, and we got ninjas. That's what you came here to see. We're like, the plot out here, So it was very much aware of that. But you had the 2004 Punisher, which tried to be more story driven and more dark and more serious, but still had that silly tone, and still had the characters that were just kind of like, yeah, y'all are not real, It's like, and I think part of that was because they were trying to make it fit into the Spider-Man universe. I think that was a good bit of why that it was feeling that way and everything. The same thing goes for these movies, whereas Rampage is a stupid movie. It's very dumb, but it knows it is. It knows 100%. It's just like, Rampage, we want to destroy buildings. Screw everything else. Screw like character need all that. Like, you came here to see The Rock be The Rock. You came here to see Negan Lean, and you came here to see, three particular monsters destroy a city. That's what you came here to see, and then eventually fight. Who cares about anything else? So that's that movie. This one tries to have somewhat of a plot, but doesn't. It's like it starts to have a plot and doesn't finish. It's like we kind of got one, and we try to take things a little bit seriously, but I'm just like, yeah, maybe you shouldn't. At this point, I would have been more content with the monsters talking and having dialogue than having people in the movie.
Yeah, I was gonna say something to that end, like when you said they had a whole lot of exposition in there. I was like, how can we really have a big monster movie with there being no humans to tell us like what's going on between these two? I was like, I don't know. Like if not, then you would have to have the dinosaurs or monsters talking or something like that, and that would just take away the whole believability, and even maybe even the tone that you're trying to go for it. But I'm sure some movies can pull it off, if they want to keep it as a serious tone, but still have monsters talking in it.
Mm-hmm.
But just having the monsters talk, it's like,
yeah, I would have almost rathered it, man. they already
depends on who they have like voicing for the monsters. Like have them like deep tone voice.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of a monster in a movie that had a voice in it, and they was like they were good with it.
It's funny, I'm kind of going off topic here, but if I were going to cast somebody as King Ghidorah, it would have been Jeremy Irons, because the moment he picks up Godzilla and drops him from space, the only thing I could think of was "Long live the king," and just drop. And then Godzilla's like, like Mufasa or whatever. And I was like, that was the only thing that's popping into my, because it looked just like it for the most part. It was just like, it was almost like a shot for shot remake, because the Godzilla's like falling down. Because I know it's like some people will comment and they'll say like, well, look, if it's a monster movie. What do you want? It's just a movie with monsters. Just like people running around from them, whatever. They're fighting, and they're being animals, whatever. Sorry, my eyes are burning, so I apologize for that. But it's like, can we have a movie that's like that has some good characters or whatever? And my go-to is always going to be Jurassic Park. The first Jurassic Park movie, because that movie was able to deliver, show us the animalistic nature of the dinosaurs, show us that these dinosaurs are dangerous, scary, and they can be viewed as monsters, but also gave us compelling characters. It gave us some decent messages, asked some decent questions. It had a decent script, and you had character development, character progression, and things like that. It's just like, you can do it, is what I'm getting at. You can do that, but like I said, it just depends on what you want going in to see this movie. Like, if you want to see, like I said, if you just going to see the monsters fight, you don't care about the humans, your biggest probably complaint will be that there's not enough of the fights. Like it does start right away. Like within the first 5 minutes, you got like a fight going on or whatever. Godzilla shows up and King Ghidorah, like they're getting at one another and stuff. But, excuse me. But yeah, like your complaint might be that there's not enough. There's still not enough. I would say that there's still not enough.